Peace, family. So, I'm just giving an update on my journey in freight brokering. Um, as those who've been following my videos know, I've been doing it this month. This is May. I've started freight brokering this month. The last video I posted was me making a live call, a couple of live calls, I think. So, I'm just giving an update. It's been about 2.5 weeks since my last video. What I found to be effective is when I actually know the person who I'm calling that is in charge. Just to give you an example. So if I call saying, hey, can I speak to the shipping manager, the person in charge of logistics, the person that's a traffic manager, I get a lot of pushback from the gatekeeper, who is the actual receptionist, secretary. And they say things like, hey, what is this in reference to? Or we get a lot of calls a day. I don't think they're adding anyone now. So I said, let me try a different method to actually get to the person in charge. So I will look up the person, whether I will look up through the company's website, through LinkedIn, Facebook, Google search, to try to find the person that's in charge. So I found it's better for me to say, hey, can I speak to John Doe? And they would say, oh, okay, let me transfer you over. And I would get no pushback, as opposed to if I say, can I speak to the person in charge of shipping? That's where I got all my pushback from. So even if I couldn't find the person in charge of shipping, I would find the closest person. So just to give another example, if I found someone that was in charge of receiving shipments, I would call and ask for that person. And once I get through to that person, they would say, well, I don't know why you got transferred to me. I'm actually not in charge of shipping. You would speak to so-and-so. Let me give you his number, or let me transfer you over to them. So I found that to be most effective. So just trying to think outside the box. Fast forward, been making calls just to give a idea of what my calling schedule looks like, I guess, so to speak. I make calls about 2 days a week because I do have another job. So I make calls about 4 to 5 hours a day. I try to start making calls at 7:30 in the morning. So I make calls, and I may get people to say, hey, I have enough freight brokers, or not right now, or my harvest isn't in yet, so I don't need freight brokers. So I would get their email and say, hey, do you mind if I follow up with you? And they would say, fine. So I would get their email. I have an email list that I email once a week, whether it's a joke of the week or what's happening in freight brokering. So I just send them emails to stay in contact. The first person I actually got a response from, as far as interested in moving a load, was someone who only communicated through email. Called their reception and she said, hey, she's available. She only communicates through email. I sent her an email. She emailed me about 10 to 20 minutes back saying, hey, I have a lot of freight brokers. However, I do have a hard lane that I'm trying to move. Can you give me your rates? So I immediately get flustered because this is my first time I'm getting a response. I didn't think about what I would say when I would get the actual response. So I called my husband because he actually works in trucking. He said, well, I don't know for that lane, but let me call some people I know in the trucking industry. So he's calling some people he know. I'm looking online, looking at YouTube videos about what you quote for a rate. So I was all over the place a little bit. But I said, let me just dive in. So I said, before I can give you, this is how I responded to her. Before I can give you a rate quote, I need to know the details of the load, the miles that it's going, how many pounds, what has to be moved. So she gave me the details, and I sent her a rate. I did a guesstimate in my head, to be honest with you. I don't know if that was the best method, but I said, hey, it'll be $16.75. And it seemed like as soon as I sent her that message, I got emails from other people saying, hey, I would charge 18, I would charge 2. So in my mind, I said, I already said 16. If I have to take a cut to get in the door, I'll do that. So, because I can't pull back, I already said the rate I would charge. But surprisingly, she said that was too much. She said, well, I usually get it moved for $1,200. And I was like, May can get it moved for 14, but that's kind of pushing it. And based on the trucker's feedback, it's because of really the amount of pounds that will be on that truck. They said I can get another load of toilet paper or plastic and not have to have that much on my truck as far as pounds. So it's, I'm going to charge more. And it seems to be a trucker's market right now, which it is. It's freight that has to be moved and not a lot of truckers. So I said, well, if you give me the load for $1,200, I could try to get it moved. So she said, well, you went from 16 to 14 to 12. I'm not interested. So I said, well, if you ever need me, just, I'll follow up with you. So that's a lesson I learned, not to get really stuck on price, because if you get them stuck on price, that's what the customer's going to be stuck on. So I want to get stuck on quality and service in my communication. So that was just a lesson learned on that one. That was actually the first time I got a response. So I kept calling, right? Last week, got another company. Called on a Friday, and I figured, everybody's trying to leave the office. I probably won't get much response. But I actually got a customer that said, hey, I said, I'm trying to pretty much get in the door. I introduced myself. He said, listen, I get a lot of calls from freight brokers. Unless you're the needle in the haystack that actually had trucks, I don't know if you're going to be able to get any loads moved for me. So I said, well, hey, I have 53 footers. What you trying to move? We can get this done. And me just talking, I didn't have any 53 footers, but I was going to try to have some. So he said, well, I'm not going to give you the load, but I'll just give you an example. I'm trying to get something moved from Georgia to North Carolina. He said, well, if you have a truck, let me know. I said, let me call one of my guys and see if I got a truck available. So I said, let me call you back. Started looking up companies in Georgia. Found one. I said, hey, first company I called. He said, actually, I do have trucks available. What part of Georgia? Didn't know. So I said, probably around Fayetteville. And I was just guesstimating that too. I probably shouldn't have guesstimated, but I said around Fayetteville. So around that area. And I said, I can get details on the load. He said, well, before I can give you a rate, I need to know the gist of what that is. So give me a call back. You got it. I'm going to look see where my truckers are, because I think I may have someone available around Fayetteville. Called the customer back. He said, okay. You have a truck. These are the details of the load. Said, hey, it's going from this part of Georgia to that part of North Carolina, and this is what has to be moved. So I said, okay, well, let me give my carrier the actual information, see what rate I can get moved for. And he said, I know you got to put your fee on top. So I called the trucker back. He said, actually, that's a little bit, where you're going in Georgia is a little bit further than where my truck is going to be. So I actually don't have anybody available. So I was transparent with the customer saying, hey, that the truck I had says it's going to be in Fayetteville, in and around Fayetteville, but we're in Moultrie, Georgia, it's just too far. So I said, I will keep calling. I'm going to get referrals. So I called around different companies. 90% of the carriers and the trucks really didn't have any trucks available. They were actually booked into that next week. And then the 10% I did get a response from, the rate they were given was between $2,000 to $2,400. So when I brought that back to my customer, he said, that's really high. He said, these truckers are taking advantage of the industry, because again, there's freight that needs to be moved, not enough truck drivers. So he said that was actually the pushback he was getting from his other freight brokers, that it's people that will move it. However, they wanted a certain rate for it. So I said, I will keep calling, because you say I don't want to post it on the load board, because the problem is they post it on the load board. 5 brokers are posting the same load, and it's making it seem like that load is available, or it's more the loads available than what it is. And that could be the reason why the price is increased. So I don't want to post it. And I said, fine, I won't post it, not a problem. So I really decided I was going to actually do the groundwork. Calling carrier companies. And I called at least 200 over that weekend that had reefer trucks, because that was the important key. I needed a 53-footer reefer truck. And so I'm calling companies, and I couldn't find anybody that Friday. So I said, hey, can't find anybody that will move it for the rate you're looking for. Because I was getting, like I said, I was getting quotes from $2,000 to $2,400. He wanted to move for $1,200. It was just hard to get moved. So I said, hey, you're in a position where you need the freight moved, your freight that he's trying to get moved. I said, it ain't gonna last long. He was like, well, I'll probably let it rot before I pay that amount of money. And I'm thinking in my mind, it will rot, but it ain't gonna make you no money. You got to get your freight moved. But que sera. So I'm still looking for carriers for that truck. I figured, maybe I'll find somebody and get lucky. But that has been on my journey so far. I'm going to continue making calls as I do. Continue to send my emails out. And God willing, next time I do a video, I will have a customer and I can give you just of what that is. So this is my journey so far. I know this video was a little longer than my previous videos. I don't want to make it too long. But that is my journey so far. If you have any feedback for me, please put it in the comments. I'm welcome to all criticism. This is my first journey as a freight broker, and I'm been in sales, but freight broking is a different part of the sales environment I've been in. So feel free to post a comment, leave feedback, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thanks. Enjoy your day.